Now in this day and age where numbers are everything, everybody is looking at your average watts versus my average watts. Everybody is stalking each other on Strava, whether or not they have actually beat the segment or whether or not you have beat my segment. Now I think this is such an important thing, like having to know your numbers and having to know your wattage. Everybody loves numbers, and the number one item that actually gives you this data is your cycling computers. Now there are two big boys out there, the Garmin and the Wahoo. Many people are using Garmin or Wahoo computers, and I think they are already brands that are so reputable. Everybody knows what they can do, everybody knows about them. But let's bring in the small boys. Let's bring in people that can compete with them, hopefully, such as the Magene C606 computer. Now if I can find it, which I have done, the Magene C606 computer. Now we are comparing small boys to the bigger boys such as Wahoo and Garmin. Now why does it matter? What do these small people have, all these smaller brands have, as compared to the bigger boys? Let's talk about it. Now jumping into the very basic details of the Magene C606. Now the Magene is definitely bigger than the Wahoo Element Bolt.
Now I even took and compared to the Garmin 530 and it's slightly bigger than the Garmin 530.
Now we're going to talk about one thing, which is the startup time of the Magene comparing to the Wahoo, comparing to the Garmin. From what I know, the Magene startups way faster than the Wahoo, but let's compare it to the Garmin and to see which one startups faster.
I immediately started the timer when there was a first sign of the computer awning. The Magene was extremely fast, instantaneous. The Garmin took a while, but it was the second one to come out, while the Wahoo took extremely long. It took like almost 40 seconds just to get the thing out. From any sign of it being turned on, when the Magene word came out on the Magene computer and it took less than 5 seconds to turn on, I think it's extremely remarkable. It has already beat the Garmin by like 1/6 the time, and it has beat the Wahoo Element Bolt by like ages. By the time the Wahoo Element Bolt is on, the Magene is already running. I do know that startup time is a very important issue for a lot of us who are actually riding, and it was some of the questions that some of my Instagram viewers asked.
So the Magene actually has a battery life of 17 to 25 hours. Now this is depending on what kind of settings you actually have on your Magene, and it charges by the holy grail of Type-C. Now you guys will know that I love Type-C because I no longer have to buy another charger to charge another thing. But it also charges so fast. I think it charges within like 1.5 or 2 hours or something like that. It's also waterproof. The touchscreen works so well in the rain. Like I just splash water or even on the rain, it kind of works. And you can just still tap everything, and you don't have to just tap everything. You can also press the button to access whatever that you have to tap on. So you have dual functions. It's a smarter way and a dumber way in that sense to operate the computer. And it's very nice because you have these two ways that you can use it. But if I forgo the touchscreen, I can have better stuff such as rerouting, or like even, yes, one problem that I have is that the Strava does not, you can't star the route on Strava so that it can link to the app, so that it can link into your computer. So for Garmin and Wahoo, that's what they can do. You can just star the route on Strava and it will automatically link into your account, which is on your whatever app, your Connect app or your Element app. But the Magene does not do that. So that's one issue that I have also. And if maybe you forgo the touchscreen, you can afford to pay Strava to do that. But once again, it's a $400 feature on a $200 computer. It's a bonus, but it's not a must. Now let's talk about the navigation on the Magene. How does the navigation on the Magene actually compare to Wahoo or Garmin? Now the Magene navigation is actually very nice. Now what I like about the Magene navigation is that it's a turn-by-turn navigation, and the directions that they give you in terms of how many meters to go is actually very small. So if let's say Wahoo gives you 50, 100, 150 meters to go, the Magene actually gives you 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Now the Wahoo one was an example, but you get what I'm trying to say. The Magene one, the numbers that they give you is so close to each other, and it works so well because on the Wahoo I actually do miss turns because I don't know how far the turn actually is. I can't gauge it on the map. Now the Magene one actually is nicer on the map with the road names instead of just arrows, so you actually know when to turn onto what road and you can just look at the road sign. which is actually very nice to me. One thing that I don't really like is the rerouting function. So let's say you're on your route, and then on your Garmin or your Wahoo, you go the wrong way, it will create a new secondary route to bring you back to your main route. Whereas the Magene, it just draws a red line and asks you to U-turn and go back. Now that's a feature that I find that it's a bit weird because it's kind of a basic feature, but the Magene does not have it. Although yes, the older computers like in our past do not have it as well, which can also be there to cut the cost of the Magene, which we'll talk about the price later. But maybe that's why certain things are gone so that it can cut costs and it is still there to compete with the bigger boys. Because to me, it's not a very big feature to have. Like, it's good to have, but even if you don't have it, okay, fine, I'll just look at a map and I'll just make a U-turn on my own. Now, I'm sure it's already fighting with the bigger boys out there in terms of touchscreen, color, and size. But I feel like the touchscreen and the color, although Magene has actually marketed it as a very nice color and a very nice touchscreen, I feel that if you were to take that away and you were to implement things such as basic rerouting functions, I think it will be a lot better because some people can forego the color. Like me, I can forego the color, I can forego the touchscreen, but if you were to give me the rerouting function, I would love it so much more.
Now, I think the most important thing to bear in mind is that it is still a $200 computer. Now, $200 computer is actually fighting against the bigger boys, which are $400, such as the Garmin 530 or the Wahoo Bolt. You can't expect to have $400 features on a $200 computer, and if you do, it's honestly a bonus to have it. There are slight issues with the Magene C606, such as I've mentioned before, the back-to-home navigation, the starring of the Strava routes. These are all little things that actually can be better, but we don't have it on this $200 computer. So if they ever come out with it in the future, I think it's a great bonus and it can be one to fight even more with the bigger boys such as Wahoo and Garmin. But what do you think of its current status? What do you think of its current software updates and everything? Can it fight with the bigger boys such as the Garmin and the Wahoo?